Welcome back to another episode of Your Palm Beach Guide, the official podcast of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce, where we sit down with leaders, innovators, and changemakers making an impact in business and beyond. Today's guest is Julie Riga, an executive leadership coach, trainer, facilitator, and ICF ACC certified coach who has spent more than 2 decades helping leaders unlock their potential and lead with purpose. After a successful career in the pharmaceutical industry, managing large-scale programs and high-performing teams, Julie now works with executives around the world to develop stronger leadership skills, build resilient organizations, and create lasting impact. Known as the Master of Mindset, Julie combines executive coaching with a holistic approach to leadership, helping professionals strengthen communication, navigate change, build meaningful relationships, and lead with authenticity. Julie, thank you so much for joining us today, and we're excited to have you on the podcast. Julie, welcome to Your Palm Beach Guide. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thanks for having me today.
Listen, I'm so excited to just learn more about you and, of course, your book. I'm glad you brought a copy of your book because we're going to talk about it today. But for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to Palm Beach and Palm Beach County.
Ooh, good. So I have been working in different industries like most of my life. So I actually started working in the music industry.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, I worked, when I first got out of college, I worked for a recording studio. And then I worked for a famous rap artist.
No way. Can you share who your famous rap artist is?
His name is KRS-One.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
I haven't, but you'll have to send it because I want to hear.
Okay, so I was his personal assistant for a little bit. So I started my career in music, and then I ended up working in the pharmaceutical industry, and then I got a little bit older and thought that maybe it's time for a change, and so now I have my own business.
That's amazing.
But I came here because my parents moved here 20 years ago.
Okay.
My grandparents moved here also.
Well, like everyone, right?
Yeah, it's like there was no other choice for me but to come here. So, and now my daughter's in college here. So we moved from New Jersey. I spent most of my life in New Jersey and now I'm here.
Oh, I love it. Well, when you talk about leadership and the fact that you're a business owner and you're also an executive coach, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. What led you and inspired you to make that change? Because you went from, assisting a rap artist to pharmaceuticals, like you just said. How was that transition and how did you end up in your role?
Yeah, it sounds so strange, right?
Well, I always love, I'm not the type of person that's like, you have to be this your entire life. I just think if you work hard at something and if you float around, fine. But either way, work hard at whatever you do.
Yes.
So I love that you moved around. I think that gives you great experience.
Well, and it also has to do with life circumstances, right? You start out your life thinking that this is going to be your life, and then something happens, right? There's some sort of transition that happened, and I had to get a more serious job, right? And because I became a mom, and then I became a single mom very fast. After I became a mom, so around a year after. So I had to get a job, and I went to this wedding. It's a very funny story.
Yes.
I went to a wedding, and somebody said, and I was young at the time. They're like, you can make $20 an hour being an administrative assistant at this pharmaceutical company. And I was out of work, and I said, oh, you know what? Maybe I should try that for a little while. Well, I did. I tried it. I got the job, and all of a sudden, I'm there for 14 years.
Oh, wow. Off of a conversation at a wedding.
At a wedding. Yeah, because I met the girl that does the recruiting for the temp. It's like a temp recruiter. And I said, all right, let me try that. And so I started as an administrative assistant. And in the pharmaceutical industry,
you can move up.
Yeah. And so I ended up leaving as a director. So I went from being an admin to a director in my career,
right?
And then sort of realizing that, I didn't want to deal with a lot of the corporate bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And when you work for such a big company, I've worked for huge companies, like 100,000, 125,000 person companies. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules. And so, learning to play by the rules and then realizing at some point, you don't want to play by the rules. You want to do something a little different. You want to be more creative. And as an innovator, I've always been an innovator. And so innovating at a big company is good to a point until it's not good anymore. But when you're on your own, you could be as innovative as you want to be.
No, that's so true. So that transition led you to start your own business, and you talk a lot, especially in your leadership world, about the importance of legacy. And, everybody now is really talking about legacy and, what we leave behind. And even if you're young and you're not, planning on, dying anytime soon, but you're at least trying to make an impact. When you work with executives, what advice do you truly give them about leaving that legacy?
Yeah. And the advice is this, that, inside of all of us, we have some sort of, I believe it's like a divine purpose. Yeah. I believe that we have a purpose here to complete. And so when we tap into what that is and we can articulate what that is, we can pursue what that is. And so most of the time when you're focused in on purpose, you're focused on something bigger than yourself, bigger than the day that you have. And I look at it as you are a facilitator of transformation. So whatever that means to you, like whatever transformational reason that you have for your purpose, that is what you bring into your work. And by you pursuing that, you bring a lot of energy to the room, right? Because when you're authentic and real and you're like, oh, I'm following this is my purpose. This is what I was meant to do with my life. This is what brings me energy. This is what brings me joy. That joy is contagious. And that joy is brought to the people that you touch and the people that you speak to. Like all of those things are super important. And that's the legacy. Like that every moment that you have, that you're able to influence, that you're able to create these moments of aha for people. I teach to the aha everything I do. It's all about like, what moment of aha did you have today? Right. What is that thing that's going to be the brain fire that you have that will then accelerate you into the thing that you need to be brought into, right? And so that's the foundation of legacy. And then we do everything in service to that. Okay. So that you do not think of it's not about you anymore. Right. It's not about you. And I work with a lot of speakers. I do a lot of work with speakers. And if I can get them out of their own heads and help them get to a place where it's not about them. I'm like, when did this become about you? Right. Like, this is about the audience. This is about the transformation. This is about you bringing your true purpose to the table in service to whoever's listening to you. It's no longer about you. Right. And I love that you help people get out of their head, because sometimes that is the obstacle. That is that biggest barrier for the speaker, or really for anybody, because we are all just get so consumed of and we just get in this kind of rat race almost inside of our heads. So I love that you're encouraging people and giving them tools to get out of that, to make them more effective. Yeah. So I love that. You're known as the master of mindset. I love that about you. So when you say mindset is often the biggest barriers of success, what are those limiting beliefs that you see in speakers and in people you coach? Right. So I always say that the story you tell yourself about yourself is the most important story you ever tell. That's so good. Yeah. And that is true, right? The story you tell yourself gets in the room before you do. So if you're not telling yourself a really good story about yourself, then you've just sabotaged everything, right? Because you're not going to exceed that story. Right. And so I do a lot of work with executives, and I allow them to create the superhero version of themselves. And as we're creating the superhero version of themselves, right? Yeah, that's fun. The version of yourself that, like, when you walk in the door, yes, right, I'm going on this podcast today. I'm going to, like, be my real self. I'm going to bring a little light and energy and fun. And I'm not going to sit back and just be like this. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you today. No, it's I'm bringing my full energy, and energy's contagious, right? That is like it is. You're totally right. And if you don't have it, right, you're just boring people. So, and I'm talking to speakers a lot because one of the things I do is I help people kind of get to this place where I allow them to understand the power of being on a stage, the power of coming here and doing your podcast, right? The power of just being visible. And you can't be visible unless you believe that you're worthy enough to be there. And then also the preparation. It's a lot about preparing yourself for that moment.
No, you're so right. And when you talk about leaders specifically, like let's say they're not speaking, but they're leading a team.
Mm-hmm.
They're an executive in a corporate world or even in a smaller business. What have you seen is their biggest obstacle for their team's growth? Is it themselves? Do they need to get out of the way? Or are they just not an effective leader?
I think a lot of it is, and I hate saying this out loud, they think they can do it better themselves.
Ah, okay. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, they think they can do it better themselves. I've heard leaders say that before. And because it's faster, it's more effective. They think they can do it better themselves. They're still in the weeds of their work because they do really think, and that might be true.
Right.
It may very well be true. You could probably do it better yourself, but that's not the role of the leader. The role of the leader is to set the direction, to remove obstacles from their team, to allow their team to shine and grow. So that leader now needs to take a step back and let their team shine, and people are not ready for that.
Yeah.
And so it is really getting leaders to a place where we work on what their role is now, because there's a transition between doing and leading.
Right.
And when you're a doer, sometimes you get accolades for that, you know? And when you're a leader, the accolades come from the collective of the output of the team.
Right.
And so there is a shift that needs to happen. And I help people through that shift by helping them put tools in place that help them get to that next place. Because a lot of times the leader will come to me and they'll not know like how, but how do I do this? How do I do this? Well, we use multiple tools and techniques so that you can take yourself out of the doing and into the leading. And so that's building in strategy. It's building in accountability. It's building in communication. And every leader is a communicator. So whether they're on a stage where they're in front of a podcast audience or in front of a live audience, it doesn't matter. They're still on stage.
Right.
Because every meeting is a stage. Every corporate board meeting is a stage. Every time you're in front of your team, it's a stage because you're setting the tone and foundation of everything that they do.
Well, and I love that you said a little bit ago just about removing the leader from the doer mentality, because I think a lot of times you become a leader by doing, and so you get so used to doing those tasks, like you said, because they can do it better, all of those things. So then to release that, it's almost harder because then they're like, well, then I'm not doing it anymore. Like, well, what do I do then? You know, what am I supposed to do now if I'm not the one that's executing these things? So I love that you mentioned that, because I think every leader goes through that stage where you transition from the doer to almost the visionary.
Yeah.
And then into that, leading space. But we all have to get over that,
Well, and the thing is I love mentioning the book by Marshall Goldsmith. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Okay.
And the point of this book is like, okay, you had a certain level of skills that you had to get to this place, and you did great. You did a great job. So great that they want to promote you into leadership. They want to promote you now. So now when they get into the leadership role, they have no idea what that means and what that looks like. And now add on, how do you use AI to accelerate that? So that's what I do with people. I literally help them figure out this new job that they have. I help them build the operational systems using AI to pair that in. And so when I sit with people, I tend to become a coach, a consultant, a trainer, and I always say a friend, because I am. We're building a partnership together. Me and the leader are building a partnership together so that they can accelerate their growth. I mean, who knows? After I work with them, they could be getting promoted again. So now you're not just a leader of people.
Right.
Now you're a leader of leaders. So a leader of leaders looks like a little bit different than a leader of people. Like you're just managing a small team.
Right.
Now you're leading leaders. Now you're leading the future, and that is legacy.
That is legacy. I love that. And, you mentioned it just now, so it really teed up this question, but leadership has changed drastically in the last 5 years from what leaders were doing previously versus what they're doing now. So what can today's employees expect from leaders that wasn't expected 5 years ago?
That's an interesting question. I think the shift that absolutely needs to happen is that we need to get our employees to be critical thinkers. Back 5 years ago, we were busy doing, okay? And now we are going to be busy thinking. And the people that are not busy thinking and being able to critically think and use the tools that are offered, those are going to be the people that may not have a job, right? We need to transition. Every time technology comes into the mix, we need to transition.
Right.
And I'm a creative kind of person.
Yeah.
So the any sort of tool that is going to allow me to be more creative and innovative, I'm all about it. But there's a lot of people that will resist this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you can't break it. Let's just play with it. Play with it. Ask it questions. Push the limits. Like, there's so many things that we can discover now that we didn't have before. And I look at it as like AI coming in, especially I'm obsessed with Claude right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool. It is an amazing tool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Right? And as a small business owner, for all the small business owners listening, like if you're not in like using it, you've already missed it.
Yeah.
Like you've missed the boat. So I just think that it is the critical thinking. It's going to be the ability to learn new skills because the old skills, there may not be accountants anymore or bookkeepers. I don't know. Like think about all the manual things that were done before that we may not have to do anymore.
Right.
So it's pivoting. It's being resilient. It's being able to pivot. It's being able to see what is possible utilizing some of the tools that we have.
No, and I love that you say to not be fearful of those transitions in society because, every few years technology changes and society changes along with it. So I like the attitude that you have of just we're going to take it by the reins and we're going to try. And we're going to try and see what happens from there. So I love that you say that.
I think we have to start becoming a little more futuristic.
Yeah.
Right? In our thinking. Because if you're not, we're leaving you behind.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you guys that are not trying it or curious.
Right.
Really, it's about curiosity, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's curiosity, critical thinking, and the ability to acquire new skills. These are the skills that people need right now and as we move into this next decade.
No, I love that. And you're so right. Now, when we talk about, so we talked about leaders and we talked about employees, let's talk about a team culture and just especially whether you're a small team or a large corporation. What's the biggest misconception that organizations have in regards to team culture?
Team culture. I think it's like the leader sets the tone.
Expand on that because I've never heard that before.
Well, the leader sets the tone of the whole culture of the group. Every group has its own microculture, right? We could have like this huge organization. You can think that the entire culture comes from the top. Some of it does, but a lot of that culture will come from the leader of that team because it's always that we're leaving managers. We're not leaving companies. We're leaving our managers when we leave a job. It's the manager or that leader of the team that is going to be the issue for the team members.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
So if that manager has not stepped into their leadership role, if they don't really understand their job, it's going to make it a very difficult situation for the people that work for them.
Right.
Because again, if you have this manager that says, well, I could do it better myself. Well, why do we need a team then?
Right. Well, and two, it also kind of almost like degrades your employees. Like if you are the team leader and you don't trust your team to execute, then it's like, well, why did you hire me at that point?
Exactly.
You know, I could have just stayed at my other company and been totally fine. So I love that you say that. That's such a good point. You're leaving the manager and not so much the company. So that's very true. So let's talk about trust and trust in companies, because I think a lot of successful companies come from that, not only culture, but also the trust you have with your team. So how are leaders able to practically put into practice ways to get people to trust each other?
Yeah. For me, it's building relationships. That's it,
Yeah.
right? Trust is built by you building relationships with somebody, getting to know them on a personal level,
Right.
getting to know what they want to do with their careers, like really trying to understand and ask some curious questions about that individual. It's about curiosity. Again, we're going to go
Yeah.
back to curiosity and listening skills. I cannot tell you how many times I ask this question. How many of you have taken a listening skills class when I work with executives? Like five, maybe a few people have taken listening skills as a class.
Right.
And the thing is, we're listening like 72% of our day, but we've never been formally trained to listen. I have a class called My Listening Habit. So I teach listening skills. And you would be surprised and shocked. But really, trust is built by relationships. That's being curious and listening and developing that dialogue, right? I was teaching on Monday. Mondays at 7 p.m. I have a class called Before I Speak. And so I have like 10 to 12 people. They join me on Zoom and we work on signature talks. This week I was talking about communication. And communication does not happen unless the listener says it does.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. Like communication doesn't happen unless the listener says it does. We think we're communicating, but that doesn't mean that the person on the opposite side of the table has heard what we've said.
Right.
So you need to keep checking in, both from the stage and in regular dialogue. Like, does that resonate with you? What are you taking away from what I just said? Like, let me check back in with you to actually see if you heard what I meant for you to hear.
Yeah. Because it could be, misinterpreted most of the time.
Most of the time, right?
Right, most of the time. Exactly. And now when it comes to, executives, or whether you're a CEO or you're an executive director, but you are leading that team, how do you give leaders those practical ways to listen to their team members, to make them feel heard? And then if an action needs to be taken, help them take that next step as a leader. So that way your employee doesn't leave.
Yeah. That's in those one-on-one your one-on-one meetings with them. They need to have a series of one-on-one calls where they have the ability to just have some space open.
Right.
Like, hey, let's dialogue. How's it going? And not make it like an interrogation. This is not an interrogation.
Right. Just tell me what's up.
Yeah, we're all adults here.
Right.
How can I help you? I think a lot of managers probably go into these meetings thinking like, okay, I need to interrogate them. I need to figure out like, what are they doing every hour by hour by hour, right?
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's what are you doing and how can I remove obstacles if you're having any? That's really the job of the manager.
Right.
To allow them the space to do their job without some barriers. And the barriers are the bureaucracies that are formed within the organization, because there's a lot of like landmines.
There is.
To be honest, when you're working at a huge company, there's a lot of landmines. So who doesn't get along with that person? How, these are the real life examples, but that's what's happening in companies. So now we have all that relationship stuff that we may not see. And then on top of it now, the complexity is AI. Okay. And different people's adoption to that. Because some people, I'm sure, right now are thinking, well, what are they doing? they're using AI. They don't know how to do their job. So there's I have this feeling because now I'm out of it a little bit, but I could just imagine how that's playing out in the corporate space because there are people that are in corporate jobs right now that are resisting.
They are.
So, and it's the young people that are not resisting because I think that the younger you are, the more fluent you are with technology. Because I know even people that are my age are not fluent. Right. So, there is a generation thing here that we're looking at as well. But then there are people that are older that are just like, bring it on. Like,
they're like, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn how to figure this thing out.
Yeah. And it depends. It really depends on your upbringing and what you went to school for. I went to school for communications in the 90s, okay? I went to school for and if we had this stuff, I was a DJ on the radio in college. Like, if we had the tools back then, we would have been unstoppable. So it's really just like having that mindset that we can play. It's okay to play. It's okay to innovate. And sometimes we need to use the superpower of curiosity to fuel us, to push us into that space of innovation and that space of play. And you would be surprised how many opportunities open up.
Yeah. No, that's so good. I like that. Be curious. Just be a curious person. So I'm going to keep that forever.
Curiosity is a number one superpower, right? Because if you can be curious about somebody and what they're doing and how they're doing it and ask the right questions, you're learning.
Right. You are. It's so true. It's so, so true. So I want to transition a little bit to talk about your dad and his profound influence on your life. So quickly give us, as we close in the next couple minutes, what is one lesson that he taught you and why is his influence so impactful?
Okay, one lesson he taught me is, well, I feel like there's two. The first one is stay on course, and that's the name of the book.
Good.
The book is called Stay on Course.
Okay.
And so the story is my father always wanted to write his life story. And 4 months before he passed away, he sent me an email that said Ennio's book. And I said, Dad, what am I supposed to do with this? And he's like, you will figure it out, Julie. He's from Italy. You will figure it out. You'll know what to do. And I'm like, okay. And so the day after he passed away, I started putting this GoFundMe page out for people to help donate money so that I could write my father's book. And so for 2 years, I wrote my father's biography. I finished his biography.
Wow.
But the reason it's called Stay on Course is because my father, at the end of his life, became really my cheerleader during my whole divorce and the really tough time that I had. And he said, Julie, if the world falls down on your shoulders, brush it off and stay on course. And he would do this with his shoulders. He would say, brush it off and stay on course, like 7 times down, 8 times up. Like, it may look bad right now, but you have to get back up again and get back in the game because that's what we do.
Right.
We just get back up. And so that was one of the biggest lessons he taught me. And the second one I want to talk about is if you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. And he would tell me that over and over again. And so that's why, as I was transitioning, into this new work that I do, I love what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people stay on course with their purpose,
right,
so that they can leave a legacy. And that's truly my whole purpose, right? It's to help people discover their purpose and stay on course with it so that they can leave a legacy. And that is the real lesson that the book taught me. I was able to get on a TEDx stage and talk about that.
Yeah.
And now I have a podcast called Stay on Course.
Great. Plug it.
Ingredients for Success. Stay on Course, Ingredients for Success. It's a podcast. I've been doing it for 4 years.
Wow.
I interview thought leaders on their 3 ingredients for success in whatever they're an expert at. And then I ask them, what is their favorite food?
I love that. I love that.
It's so much fun. And then off the back end of that, my husband and I just started a podcast called Florida Living Life, which is a lifestyle podcast. It's so different than what I'm doing now. We just go to restaurants. We talk about our weekend.
Yeah.
So that is another podcast I'm involved in.
I love it.
I also produce other people's shows as well. I have another client that I work on another podcast. So I have 3 podcasts.
Oh my gosh.
And
you're a busy lady.
And an executive coaching business.
Coaching business. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love that you plugged that. So we'll make sure that people can listen to it because that just for all of them. So you'll have to send them to me.
Yes. And I'd love for you to be on.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see. I don't know if I'm a good guest. I can ask people things, but I don't know about the other way, but we'll see. And I'll never say never.
Well, we got to work on that story.
I know, right? Got to work on the story. That's true. Well, as we close, I have my own section of rapid fire. So your fun questions, I have some fun questions. So what is your go-to order in the morning? Are you a coffee or tea person?
Coffee.
Okay. Black or?
No, I put cream in it.
Hey, me too. No judgment. What's your favorite hidden gem in Palm Beach?
Oh, wow. Jeez. Oh my gosh. I don't know if it's hidden, but I went to the Lily Pulitzer store on Worth Avenue. It was so fun.
It's so fun.
I had such a good time. I bought a dress over there, and the girls were so kind.
Yeah, they're the best. Lily on Worth Avenue is like the elite store, so I totally understand. What is one book that changed your life?
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
I love it. It's on my bookshelf. Very true. And lastly, what is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self as you navigate life and the workplace?
I think it would be the story you tell yourself is the most important story you will ever tell. And start telling yourself a better story. Be kinder to yourself. Allow yourself to believe in yourself.
Oh, that's so good. Well, Julie, thank you for joining us in your Palm Beach Guide.
Thank you.